In this problem, we have a triangle with side lengths of 7, 10, and 12, and we have a mystery angle that is opposite to the side that is 7 units long, and we need to find that angle. So whenever you have 3 sides and a mystery angle, this is a good setup for a law of cosines. So let me just review that. Law of cosines states that c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine of angle c, not side c. So let's just define ABC and angle c. So this mystery angle, because we're going to be using it in law of cosines, it just has to be our angle c, because what else could it be? And then now A and B are always the sides right next to that angle. So 10 and 12 are A and B because they're right next to that angle. So I'm going to call 10A and B 12. But you could also flip that and make B 10 and A 12. And then that leaves 7 as side C. And that makes sense because opposite to angle C is side C. And 7 is opposite to that angle we're trying to solve for. So now let's just fill in 7, 10, 12 and solve for angle C. So let me do that. C squared, well C is 7, so we have 7 squared. A squared, well A is 10, so 10 squared. B is 12, so we have 12 squared. Minus 2 times 10 times 12, because that's A and B. And we have the cosine of C. And then now we just erase all this at the top. And continue to solve. So 7 squared is 49. 10 squared is 100. 12 squared is 144. Plus 144. And then minus 2 times 10 times 12. If you do that, that ends up being 240. Times the cosine of angle C, which we're trying to solve for. And then let's just erase all this at the bottom. And then if you do 100 plus 144, that is 244 minus 240 cosine of C. So let's subtract 244 from both sides to isolate the cosine C with the 240 on it. So then if you do that, 49 minus 244 is just negative 195. And that's equal to negative 240 cosine of C, because that's all we have left on that side. And then now, to isolate cosine of C, let's divide by negative 240 on both sides. And then the negatives will cancel out because if you divide a negative by a negative, it becomes positive. And then if you do 195 divided by 240, that is equal to 0.8125. And that is equal to cosine of C. Now, how do we get angle C? We have this pesky cosine attached to angle C. Well, to undo a cosine, just use the inverse cosine function. So let me just write that down. So you want to use this cos minus 1 on your calculator and apply that to both sides. And then just do cosine or inverse cosine of cosine C. And then those inverse cosine always cancel out cosine to leave us C. And then take out your calculator and do the inverse cosine of 0.8125. And if you do that, you should get a number. And that number is 35.7. And that is how many degrees C is. So C is 35.7 degrees. So now I can just draw this and say we know it is 35.7 degrees.